What's good, everybody? So Blizzard has just released some more updates on feral tuning, and well, they've done actually a lot of class tuning on the beta, and I wanted to talk you through some of the feral druid changes and also kind of just discuss what this really actually means. Is it enough? Is it a buff? Is there really a dramatic change at all? So wanted to kind of work through that with you guys. And I will say, like, I was streaming it today, and initially I woke up in the middle of the night and I kind of I saw some of these changes, and I was like, oh man, everyone's asking for more bleed damage, less direct damage. They want Convoke to not be as strong, and then Blizzard have done these things, and then it's like, I know people are going to be angry about it, but generally, I don't think there was really too much aggression and stuff today. I definitely got a little bit frustrated on stream, because I was like, I'm just very scared of Feral Druid not being strong in Dragonflight, and anytime I'm seeing anything getting tuned, any nerfs at all, it worries me. But I think ultimately, the takeaway from this is that everything is fine. It is chill. It is okay. I'm taking us through some of these changes. Then some of them are a little bit weird. So Rip and Ferocious Bite damage both, or Rip damage increased by 10%. Ferocious Bite damage decreased by 10%. Thrash up by 25. Rake up by 25. But in addition to those, they are then also nerfing Shred, Swipe, Brutal Slash, Rake, Thrash, Ferocious Bite, Rip, Primal Wrath. That'll be the initial hit damage. All being reduced by 10% as well. So Rip is actually equal. Ferocious Bite's getting decreased by 20%, right? All these things. On top of that, Ferocious Bite during Convoke the Spirit hit as if 4 combo points were spent. It was 5. So they're actually going to be nerfing the strength of Ferocious Bite in Convoke. They're not playing around with how many bites you're going to get, because that then has new changes. Like, are you going to do more rakes, you do more moonfires and whatnot. But you're just going to get lesser strength Ferocious Bite. So Ferocious Bite's being nerfed there as well. But, and I'll kind of jump ahead a little bit, so Rampant Frosty then also being nerfed to 20%, it was 25%. So they're doing some nerfs to Ferocious Bite across the board. However, something that they have done is they fixed an issue causing Rampant Frosty, the damage to be dealt as if, or the damage dealt by it to be reduced by armor. And the armor reduction to damage is 30%. So by fixing this, they've actually caused Ferocious Bite to be doing more damage than it should, right? So they've nerfed it, Ferocious Bite, in other areas that will compensate for this in our AoE. So Rampant Frosty will still be a very good ability, but we will be seeing nerfs to Ferocious Bite in single target situations and in Convoke. Now that will open up, for many people, they'll be happy with that because it opens up, Adaptive Swarm and whatnot and other choices, or at least makes Convoke less dominating, which is fine. For me, I still think that Incon probably needs to be a little bit stronger there, but it is what it is. Tireless Energy recovery rate reduced, so they felt that Tireless Energy was just too strong for what you got. That's not the end of the world, really. That really isn't the end of the world. Sabertooth, Ferocious Bite damage bonus reduced to 15%, was 20%, so they're reducing Ferocious Bite damage again there. But then bleed damage buff per combo point increased to 5%, was 4%. I mean, do with that what you will. Dreadful Bleeding. So this was just increases Rip damage by 15%. Now it's going to increase Rip damage by 20%. So we're seeing a bit more of a buff there to Rip as well. Frenzied Assault effect reduced to 125%, was 150. So again, for me, this is still having a negative effect on Incon. So this is kind of nerfing the potency of Incon there. But it will, I don't know, it's probably a reasonable change. In general, across the board, Feral is doing a lot of damage right now, even after the nerfs. So, we're chilling there. Tear Open Wounds, effect reduced to 60%, was 75%. Again, that's probably still pretty reasonable. Like, all of these changes so far are reasonable, and they're fine. And the way I see it, they're shuffling around where our damage is coming from. They're nerfing some bites and stuff, and they're redirecting some of the damage to like, Rip and stuff like that, and Rake and whatnot. Then you have Rip and Tear. So Rip and Tear right now is bugged. And it's basically, from my understanding, it's double dipping in terms of damage increase from various sources. I think Tiger's Fury being one of them. But it's also causing, basically right now it's doing like 6% damage per tick, not 6% damage over 6 seconds. So it's actually doing a lot more damage than it should. Generally speaking, it's like our second or third highest ability right now in Mythic Plus. Well, probably like our third or fourth, I would say. It's doing like 8 to 10% of our damage. Really good. So they're going to be changing that. But the thing is it's bugged right now, and they're not fixing the bugs, they're just nerfing it. But that's weird, because surely just fix the bugs, then it doesn't need a nerf. If anything, you'd want to buff it. It is what it is. I don't know, we'll see how that goes. They then nerfed Blood Talons, which I'm kind of against, because now this makes Lion Strength more competitive, which you don't really want too much. You want Blood Talons to be quite dominantly the better thing, because it requires more attention to your rotation. So that's a bit of a weird one. Then Double Chord Rake, this is actually my favorite change. I'm actually really happy about this. Fixed issues causing Double Chord Rake to not choose targets for second Rake. So they fixed an issue where it wasn't intelligently choosing second Rake targets. Now it will always, so I tested it today. I was in a situation where there was a target with, there were 4 mobs, and I raked 1 mob, and then I raked 2 more times, and all 4 mobs had rake on them. And I didn't change target at any point, so I just let the rakes kind of spread themselves, and it made sure that it was always targeting a mob without rake. So that's good. That makes Double Chord Rake way better. Right now in Dungeons, I'm still not playing it, though, because things are dying way too quickly with heroics and stuff. But generally speaking, I mean, I did some testing today, right? And I did some testing, and I'll be honest, I was getting quite annoyed and everything with it, and I was like, man, I don't like... Basically, what I have in my head, right, like, I want bleed damage to be strong, but at a certain point in the modern style of Feral, there's only so strong I think bleed damage can be if you're looking at, like, pure rip damage and stuff like that, before you're eventually going to get to a point where you need to spend globals on other things that are going to do damage. And you want Ferocious Bite to be strong so that you're, like, actually having meaningful finishes outside of just rip damage, right? So that's kind of my takeaway. That's the TLDR of it. But I think that everything, like all of those changes, were still gonna be fine. And even with Convoke, I've been playing with Convoke, it's still doing okay. Still doing some good damage on single target and AoE. So I'm not particularly worried based on these changes. Like, in some ways we've gained damage, in some ways we've lost damage. But the way I'm looking at what they're doing is they're tuning things in relation to one another. So all of our abilities related to one another is basically being tuned, and they're basically adjusting that, which then allows them to, if they want to buff something, they can buff something. If they want to nerf something, they can nerf something. Or they could just do like a flat, I don't know, they could do something like an aura buff and know that everything is going to be scaling at a rate where it's like, you're still seeing Rip be a dominant damage, you're still seeing Rake do really well and stuff like that. And that's what we saw with the previous nerf, or not nerf, but adjustment the previous week, where they just kind of eliminated the aura buffs that we'd had from previous expansions. So they're just like starting from the slate clean. They're doing some tuning of things in relation to one another. Like, these are actually good things. If you're actually looking at the overall picture here for Feral, they're making good foundations here to then tune things as and when they need and how they need to. Right now, the damage of Feral and Beta is still really good. I'm not worried. I'm not worried about the damage there. Still really good. And it's good that we're seeing some attention here. Will we be a meta spec? That's not a question I can answer. Nobody can. We'll have to wait and see. Whether we're meta will depend on how strong other specs are. But I just wanted to make a quick video explaining some of the changes, explaining like what that armor difference is with Rampant Frosty, what that means, that kind of stuff. Just to appease people and say it's not doom and gloom. Some people coming in saying, is Feral dead now? Oh my god, have we been nerfed into the ground? No, we've just been reshuffled. Rip now is doing quite a good, portion of our damage. Same with Tear, and when we can eventually get Adaptive Swarm and Rake spreads doing well in Mythic Plus, things are living long enough. That'll be really good as well. So trust in Blizzard maybe on this one. We'll see. And let's see how things are when we have Mythic Plus in the bag. There's going to be some raid testing tomorrow, so Friday the 7th of October. I will see if I can do any testing for it. Chances are that I probably won't be able to, but I'll see what I can do about it. I would love to get you guys, even if I can't do this week, I will be doing subsequent weeks. So I would love to get you guys some more content from the raid and show off how Feral's doing, because it was doing really, really well last week. And I do have more of those videos to be uploading. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'd say let me know your thoughts in the comment down below, but honestly, I think we're kind of fine. I think we're chilling. And I've debated this subject way too long today and got way too intense and passionate about it. So yeah, see you guys in the next one, and have a good little weekend. Take care.